sense in sharing this one and all to start over again. It's easier said than done.
Get yourself together. Drive that funky soul. Driving that funky soul. And bold. Raise up to terrorism.
Frida and Jess were waitresses at a restaurant, but in order to meet wealthy people, they rented evening gowns to attend a party. Just then, Frida accidentally bumped into a waiter and made him fall. In that moment, she quickly caught everyone's attention, just as she had hoped. She successfully drew the attention of a rich man named Slater. Slater reached out and helped her up. Seeing that Frida's heel had broken, Slater kindly snapped off the heel of her other shoe. He told her this way she could keep her balance. Although Slater owned billions in assets, he was surprisingly down to earth. He took Frida around and introduced her to his friends. After the party ended, he even invited her and Jess to join him for dinner. The atmosphere at the table was warm and lively. Slater's gentle gaze made Frida fall for him completely. But soon, the dinner came to an end, and Slater had to leave. Frida and Jess still felt reluctant to part. Just then, Slater turned back and invited the two of them to spend a vacation on a private island he had recently purchased. So, they boarded a private jet together and flew to Slater's private island. Little did they know, the beautiful island hid deadly dangers. Upon arrival, they rode in a luxury car straight to the center of the island. There stood a grand, old-fashioned mansion. The lavish atmosphere left the girls in awe. But before entering the mansion, the first thing they had to do was surrender their phones. Seeing everyone else hand in their phones, the girls had no choice but to follow suit. Amid the cheerful laughter, the vacation officially began. Later, the girls went to their own rooms. Slater personally showed Frida around her room. The luxurious amenities made Frida feel as if she were in paradise. When she opened the closet, she found swimwear that Slater had specially prepared for them. But strangely, all the girls' clothes were exactly the same style. When they went out wearing them, the servants on the island looked at them in a strange way. This made Jess uncomfortable, as if something was off. But the lively party atmosphere soon pushed their worries aside. There was an endless supply of champagne. Entertainment activities followed one after another. By dinner time, a five-star chef prepared top-tier meals exclusively for them. Then the man tapped his glass and picked up a small bottle. He told everyone that it was the island's special fairy water. He asked who would dare to try it first. Frida, being the boldest, took one drop, then another. Almost instantly, she felt light and euphoric. The party reached its peak. When she returned to her room later, Frida was horrified to discover that the ketchup stain she had accidentally gotten on herself during dinner had mysteriously disappeared. She had no recollection of ever changing her clothes. In the days that followed, they continued their wild partying and indulgence, but Frida kept feeling that something was off.
Sense in sharing this one and all to start over again. It's easier said than done. Run free. I'm
Until one night, a sudden scream pierced the air. They turned their heads to see a poisonous snake biting Jess. Slater quickly rushed over and smashed the snake with a wine bottle. Then he checked Jess's wound. Since there was no hospital on the island, Jess could only try to recover by drinking lots of hot water. Jess felt uneasy. She wanted to get her phone back and return to the city, but Frida, already captivated, believed this was their only chance to change their lives. If they left, they would go back to being poor again. After much persuasion, Jess gave up on leaving. Later that night, something strange happened. Jess, with a blank look in her eyes and a nosebleed, quietly walked out of her room. The next day, while strolling around the island, Frida noticed the door of a small red cabin left ajar. Curious, she stepped inside. Inside, rows of red bags were neatly arranged, creating an eerie scene. Just as she was about to take a closer look, she heard a sound outside the door. When she went to check, she found a servant secretly drinking there. The friendly servant handed her some of the drink. The moment she drank it, she felt a burning sensation. The servant told her it was liquor made from venomous snakes. Terrified, Frida backed away and hurriedly left. But as the snake venom took effect in her body, Frida felt her memory becoming more and more fragmented. Her companions were experiencing the same. Some woke up to find their hair had been cut. Others found strange marks drawn on their foreheads. Some even had bruises under their eyes. Frida couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was missing. Suddenly, it hit her. Jess seemed to have disappeared. Frida was stunned.
Where's Jess? Jess.
Who is Jess?
Okay.
Is she okay?
She rushed to Jess's room, but when she pushed open the door, she found only an abandoned storage room. Could it be that Jess had just been her imagination all along? Frida slapped her own face, trying to wake herself up. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Sarah had come to see her. Sarah explained that she had found her lighter, and on it was engraved Jess's name. Jess loved to smoke, and the lighter was something she always carried. This proved without a doubt that Jess had indeed been on the island. But strangely, aside from Frida, no one else seemed to remember Jess at all. As the two of them talked, they realized they had something in common. Neither of them had been old friends of Slater. In fact, they had only known Slater for a single day before being brought to the island. Frida often found dirt under her nails. Sarah frequently discovered bruises on her body. It was as if, ever since they arrived on the island, parts of their memories had begun to disappear. It was clear that something was wrong here, so they returned to the red cabin. They checked the contents of the bags. Inside each bag, they found a bottle of perfume. Frida suddenly remembered that she had once drunk a glass of snake liquor here, and before Jess disappeared, she too had been bitten by a venomous snake, so it was very likely that the snake venom, acting like fighting poison with poison, had cleared their minds and restored their lost memories. Sarah quickly took a sip of the snake liquor. They then brought the liquor to the other two girls, urging them to drink it as well. As a single drop of blood trickled from their noses, the memories they had lost all came flooding back. Sarah couldn't help but cover her face and cry, because every night, the wealthy man held a horrifying hunting party, where they tormented the girls without mercy. Slater would even bring friends to the island for his cruel entertainment. He even told his friends that by using the perfume, they could make the girls forget their pain. The more pain they endured, the more completely they would forget. Dinner time arrived, which meant that another night of horror was about to begin. But this time, the girls were ready.
Hey!
I love it!
Sarah appeared to be dancing gracefully, but in reality, she quietly hid a sharp bottle opener under her dress. She moved over to a potted plant and hid the weapon there, waiting for the signal from her teammates. As the crowd spread out, one of the girls made the first move.
Let's not freak out.
The others had no choice but to scatter and run. Even though Frida tried to escape into the forest, she was eventually discovered by a guard. The guard raised his gun, ready to shoot, but Sarah, hiding in the shadows, acted in time. They seized the guard's pistol and marched towards Slater's room with determination. Frida was tied up by Slater, collapsed on the floor in despair. Slater told her that he hadn't bought the island for pleasure. He had been testing a special perfume. It could make people forget their painful memories, leaving only the beautiful ones behind. But the snake venom had brought the girls back to their senses. Just then, the sound of gunfire came from outside the door. Sarah tried to break down the door, but she ran out of bullets. Soon after, Sarah was captured as well. Slater calmly took a puff from his e-cigarette. He decided to make Sarah his next victim, but suddenly, Slater froze in place. He seemed disoriented. as if he had lost his memory. It turned out that when Slater had gone out to capture Sarah, Frida had secretly added the perfume to his e-cigarette. That was why he collapsed. Completely dazed, the two women finally managed to escape with their lives. They set the terrifying mansion ablaze, but they didn't harm the unconscious Slater, because he was still useful. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed, and it was time for the company's annual gathering. Frida had transformed herself into the company's new chairwoman. Meanwhile, the once powerful Slater now trembled just trying to cut a steak. It turned out that Frida had used the perfume to completely control Slater, turning him into her obedient servant. She successfully took over his company. She had gone from being the prey to becoming the hunter.